Welcome, everyone. I hope you're having an amazing day. I'm honored and excited to be connecting with you today. And I am so excited about our conversation today. We're going to be talking about purpose. And as you know, my company name is tied into purpose, and we talk a lot about that at the very beginning of the year. And I think it's important we continue that conversation throughout the year, that we're checking in, that we are continuing to stay on track and in alignment with our purpose as we continue to navigate forward, step forward in March and beyond. So it's really important we have an ongoing conversation, an ongoing check-in, because it's so easy for us to get into autopilot or just kind of do what we've done past marches. So it's really important we continue to check in and stay on purpose and continue to bring those things that matter most to us forward, because no one else can bring forward exactly what you can bring forward. And that is a huge gift to yourself, and it's a huge gift to the world. So welcome, welcome, welcome. Important conversation. And I hope that you become inspired and encouraged as we lean into this conversation. So let's take a breath together. In through the nose, all the way to your toes. You can even wiggle your toes, making sure they're getting air and oxygen on a cellular level. And then out through your mouth, like through a straw. And keep taking those beautiful breaths. Something powerful about breath is not only does it bring in that oxygen on to every cell in our body and really support our whole system, it also gives us an opportunity to slow down and mindfully, purposely connect with ourselves as well. And it can help us lower our stress levels or cortisol levels as we become more and more present, focused on now, this moment, this time together. Enjoy that beautiful breath. And as you're becoming still, breathe out and release what no longer serves with love and appreciation, but as time is complete. Breathing in all that serves, supports, and nourishes you. And as we clear and create this space together, I invite you to slow down and actually put your hand, even both hands, on your heart. Just notice that beat of the heart. And notice that pause in between the beats. What is it saying to you? What is it whispering to you? What is it reminding you of today? What is it sharing with you? What is it you need today, real time, to support you on your journey? What do you need that you are willing to receive, because you absolutely have choice? So what is it that you need and are willing to receive? Beautiful. Let's take another breath. Eyes open, coming back into the room, fully present. And take a moment and write down what was laid on your heart. What is the message that bubbled up? What is it you need? What are you being reminded of? Sometimes we are moving so fast, we don't hear that still small voice that is within us, that is sharing encouragement and insight. So today, as we go through our conversation together, I know there's something here for you today by the very nature of you tuning in. And it ties into what is being placed on your heart as we talk about purpose and alignment and encouragement. And as you write that onto your paper, you're helping co-create, bring it forward. It's no longer just swirling around in you, but it's now part of reality. It's coming forward. And I encourage you to keep that paper in front of you so you can take notes as insights bubble up within you or your something sparks through our conversation today. Beautiful. So honored to have each of you here. And as I bring on our amazing guest, I'm going to invite her to share when she took a moment to stop, pause, and listen what was laid on her heart. So, with that, Carmen, welcome. I'd love for you to share what was laid on your heart.
Hi, Rebecca. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited and thank you for walking us through this. The first thing that really came up for me was hold on to hope no matter what.
Mm, mm,
That's, yeah, that's what I have.
I love that. Just writing that down, I think that's an important message to remember. No matter what comes, you can hold on to hope. That's a choice that you can
Yes,
make. Really, really powerful. Thank you.
you're welcome.
And listeners, how about you? As we bring hope, that energy of hope and choice into the conversation, how is that touching your heart and spirit? I know I was noticing as we slowed down and connected together how good that stillness felt. I know my days get very busy, and if I don't mindfully, purposely slow down, the day will be gone in a moment. And I can miss things and miss even being present in it. And so I so appreciate this time where we can all collectively come together and pause and just be in that moment. And that is enough. So as we go to our first commercial break here, I want to invite you to stay present. Resist that urge to cross things off the to-do list. No, no, no. This is your time for you. Allow yourself those pauses, those times to just be, to listen, to process and receive. And we'll continue our conversation in just 2 minutes. Welcome back, everyone. I hope you enjoyed that moment, that pause of getting to just be what a gift that is during our days to have those moments carved out for us. And it can make such a difference on how we feel and even the choices that we make, how we navigate through our day when we remember to stop, pause, and reconnect with who we are and how we want to be. So I encourage you to practice that, use that throughout our show. We have these beautiful breaks built in on purpose to give you that opportunity to be present, to receive, to process those things that spark something within you. So they don't just go on the to do list that someday maybe you'll get to, but instead, while we're connected and supporting each other, you're getting to process real time. So enjoy those moments. Oh, I'm excited to continue our conversation, and I wanted to share a little bit about our guest today. So, Carmen is a dynamic speaker, multifaceted entrepreneur artist, dedicated to empowering individuals worldwide. She is an engaging storyteller and has an infectious positive energy that she leaves you with, inspired to take action. And she's a host of Wellness 360, where she approaches wellness in a holistic 360-degree way. She is passionate about helping you live joyful, healthy, and purpose driven lives. Pleasing and warmly welcome the passionate and dynamic and purpose driven Carmen Milagro. Welcome.
Oh, Rebecca, thank you so much. What a wonderful introduction. And hello, everyone. Thank you so much for having me on the show on this first day of spring. That can't be a coincidence.
I love it. There are no coincidences.
Exactly.
So it's perfect, perfect. Welcome, welcome.
Thank you.
And I love we're talking about purpose, and that's just one of my favorite things. And it's something as a young girl I just really wrestled with. I just had it so on my heart that there had to be purpose, there had to be meaning. What is it? What is mine? And I think I put a lot more angst into the the journey and the struggle and the exploration that perhaps needed to be there, but I found it something that is so important to me. And so I love, and that's continued to be lifelong, this passion of always staying on purpose and aligned with my gifts and talents and being able to bring those forward became something placed on my heart in my teens and just has continued forward. So when I meet a fellow journeyer who is passionate about purpose, I get very excited and love to hear a little bit about your journey and why this work around purpose is so important to you.
Oh, thank you. That's such a great question. I would say, I've always been driven by my purpose, which was always tied to my sense of self, which is entwined with my passion. And, I think like many young people, like what you experienced, what I've gone through is there's different times when we go through that questioning of what's my purpose. And that for me was sort of the beginning of the coaching, right? Of the helping others through that process of, I believe in order to find out what your purpose is, you have to know who you are.
Mm.
And I don't think that there's any real age specific where you find that out because I think it's an evolving thing. Does that make sense?
That does, I love this. So some of what I'm hearing is really being able to live on purpose. It's very important that we know who we are
Yeah,
and we spend time with ourselves and discovering that.
exactly.
And how do you, because this might be a new thought or concept for some people around purpose and who am I? And
Mhm.
remembering who we are. I just flashed to Lion King and the father sharing with the son, remember who you are.
Sure.
Um, and I love how you shared that this is evolving. So do you find that we discover suddenly this is my purpose and we just go on that path? Or do you find it's more of an unfolding as we evolve and perhaps grow or shift a little bit of who we are?
I think it depends on
Mm,
each person. So, and it depends on what phase you're in of your life. It
Hmm.
depends on how much work you've done. Um, and what I mean by work is either self-reflection, therapy, coaching, like there's different modalities, right, for different
Hmm.
people and people need different things. That's one thing that I share with young people and with women that I work with and, clients. There is no cookie cutter approach for any one person. So for me, I think it just depends on, sometimes it could be as simple as, maybe you're meditating in your Zen garden and it just comes to you. It could be that simple for someone. But for others, it could be a series of either tragedies or successes or conversations or just, doing something like this, listening to a podcast, and all of a sudden you get it. Or talking to your neighbor who is maybe a volunteer with an organization and they tell you what they're doing, and all of a sudden that speaks to you. I think it's just different for everyone.
And how would we recognize, oh, this is either this is it, this is my purpose, or this is tied into it? Is there a physical response or a quickening of the spirit, or is there a recognition, or is it different for everybody?
I do think it's different for everyone, but I can speak to you from how I see it and how it's been for me.
Hmm.
There's never been a separation for me. They're intertwined, woven together, the two, passion and purpose, and well, the three, and who I am, it's all coexisting.
Hmm.
I feel like I can't have one without the other, and that's why I have such a strong belief in passion driven purpose. And some people just don't know what to do with their lives, So when I say first figure out who you are from the very depths of your soul, I think once you can get to that place of knowing, you'll be able to tell anyone or everyone who you are, what your passion, what your purpose is. I think, I'm doing a lot of work with young people and the
Hmm.
demand and the need to know yourself and this modern day they kind of address it as they're creating their personal brand. So
Mm.
we have workshops, and these workshops are that just the attendance is going through the roof. I
Mm.
think there's a lot of young people that need the guidance and the help that coaches like yourself, like myself, like that we can offer them. But I think that once they figure that out, everything from that moment will be you know, will be driven by the passion towards uh, fulfilling that purpose. So,
Beautiful. And I love hearing that. I love that so many young people are leaning into that and really exploring. I feel that makes me excited
yeah.
because I just feel like, wow, to tap into those things on so many people
Mhm.
at such a young place just will make the world a better place because the more we can lean into that and make choices from that place, the more we are aligned with what we get to bring to the world. So that's really exciting to me. Another question I have around this is how can we maybe look at not being aligned? Like, is there something that shows up that shows, oh, I actually need to explore this more. I need to look into this more deeply. Here's an indicator that I may not be on track with my purpose, or I'm not quite sure who I am. How do we start to recognize some of those things so we know? And then what's a step we can take?
Oh, those are two great questions. I think, well, let me share with you a little bit about what people share with me.
Hmm.
There's a lot of talk about, well-being and mental health these days for obvious reasons. There's a lot of young people, and I do focus a lot on young people, but I have these conversations. I'm very fortunate that they trust me. And so I learn a lot about being young in this day and age in the last 10 years. there's been a lot of trauma, for lack of a better word, from the lockdown, from everything that's going on in the world. And what I'm hearing a lot is anxiety, right? When you are so filled with anxiety that you almost feel paralyzed, where you are a lot of young people and actually, and also women over 50. There's a correlation here somehow. But a lot of people are feeling lost. They don't feel they don't feel connected. And those are, I would say, the top three: the anxiety, feeling lost, and not feeling connected. They're just disconnected somehow. And I think that what you can do, one of the things that you can do for that is to seek help, to ask questions, to find out, what are other people doing to help them. And I think that there's a lot of resources. You do have to do your due diligence, obviously, but you can listen to podcasts like yours. Your podcast is designed to help people. Your podcast is designed to help them figure things out from not just the superficial level, but from what's going on within. And I do think if you trust the process, if you trust yourself, that you may be able to discover that you already know within your own being, that you already have a pretty good idea of what you need to do, and it's a question of then doing it.
Hmm. Thank you. I really appreciate your running through some of that. And I love the reminder of that we're not alone. There's a lot of tools and resources and podcasts and people that can walk beside us. This is not a solo journey. It's a myth that you have to pull yourself up by your bootstraps. You
Right.
can get support on the journey. And if you're feeling that anxiety and you're feeling some of those things that you shared, that's a really good indicator that, hey, I might want to go a little deeper here, get some support, or perhaps explore a little bit more of who I am to connect into that. Um,
Exactly.
really, really helpful. I appreciate that. And I think that's interesting, the two groups that you mentioned, the younger people and then those over 50, that you're finding that there's some sort of a correlation that is happening between those groups on the journey of the support. And I do think there is this kind of worldwide trauma that we have gone through as humans over this last little bit and coming through that. So I think there is some common ground in a sense that we can come together on and support each other through. And sometimes, because you mentioned that was one of the ways sometimes people find their purpose can be through trauma or hard things, that we have an opportunity to pause and go deeper. Anything you would add to that?
I think there is something to be said, and this is what I'm working on right now. One of the projects is when you have a group of young people that are seeking knowledge and seeking guidance, and they want it and they need it. And then you have another group over here of a lot of women who maybe don't want to be retired. They have so much left to give, but society tends to say, once you hit 50, you almost become invisible. And I know that people have said that, and there's lots of conversation around that, but it's a real thing. And I think there, for me, there seems to be this matchup perhaps that we can do. If we can garner this revolution of women over 50 becoming leaders in education, in coaching, let's say, finding their purpose that way by helping the younger generation, I think there's something of value to it's sort of returning to the older ways that communities and different groups of people used to be. right? There, we've always had the elders. We've always had certain ethnicities and cultures have always still to this day rely on the elders, the wise women. The coaching is a modern word, but not really a modern concept.
Hmm.
I think there's a tie in there. And I hope that, the young people that are listening, go talk to your grandmother, your aunties, go talk to women who have come before you. And I would say to older women out there, find the young people that you can connect with. And I think we'll 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 tackle that sense of loss, sense of purpose. We'll tackle that sense of disconnected all at once. And we can do it.
Beautiful. Oh, I love it. This is so inspiring and great food for thought on all sides. We are getting ready to go to our next commercial break. And as we do so, listeners, I want you to really sit with some of what Carmen has shared and see how that is hitting you, where that is touching your heart and spirit. And perhaps you're feeling that quickening of, or a pull, or a, oh, I want to feel into that. I want to explore that, or that's what I'm looking for or need. Really take a moment to sit with that, see what comes up, and we'll continue our conversation in just 2 minutes. Welcome back, everyone. I hope you had the opportunity to just really sit with some of the information and insight that has been shared, and perhaps how you're looking at purpose and even how you define yourself is kind of coming to the surface and you're getting to explore those things a little bit. I know one thing I found that I did on the journey is I so closely identified with what I did or a role I played that sometimes I could get a little bit lost in that. And if that role shifted or changed, I wasn't quite sure who I was anymore, even though I was still me. So I found those things had gotten entangled at different places, or I had let other people define success or purpose for me. So as we're continuing our conversation here, I encourage you to really try to separate the role you have, or one of the roles you have, or a hat you wear, or some of what you do from who you are and your purpose. And maybe that's part of how you're bringing your purpose forward. But pay attention to how you're defining yourself. And Carmen, I would love for you to add your thoughts to that.
Oh, I agree 100%. I was like, oh, yes, I remember that point in life. And I think that happens quite a bit to a lot of people. When you've been in an industry for 25 years or 17 years, I think it's very easy to let yourself become that role and you
Mhm.
lose your separate identity. And then when you retire or you move to another job or whatever it is that removes you from that day to day, it could be like like the astronauts, right? They say when they land back on Earth, they're sort of off kilter. They have to find their balance. I think it's a very real thing, and I don't know that people or our bosses, in those roles, I don't think anyone really prepares you for that. I think that's another great idea for coaching.
Yeah, yeah, really. I like that, finding your balance again and who you are and now who you're becoming as maybe the roles shift or the way you've even identified or a role that had become so big in your life, having that shift and what does that mean? And I think those are all great things to be exploring and looking at. And you had shared early on that you knew your purpose and part of early on, and that was something that's just been consistent for you, and you step forward as a coach. I'd love for you to share a little bit of how you became a coach and maybe one of the big lessons you've learned about purpose as a coach.
Sure, thank you. Another great question, that one. I look at my career in coaching as sort of a series of fortunate events.
Hmm.
I started out as an accidental behavioral coach and then recently became an accidental TV coach. And what I mean by that is, oh gosh, it was around 25 years ago. I wanted to start my own nonprofit. That was why this was sort of the accident. But I thought in order to do that, I have to go work in a nonprofit. I'm that hands-on type of person. And I saw this ad back in the day, newspapers and Craigslist. That was the modern technology back then.
Hmm.
And they were looking for a nonprofit, well-respected 50-year-old nonprofit was looking for a behavioral coach. I had no idea what that was. You know, back then the coaching landscape was not the same as it is now. So coach, I thought, oh, well, I always I always thought a coach was had to do with sports. And I thought that's an interesting title, but oh well, I'll go apply for it because I want to go work in this nonprofit. So, long story short, I got the job over some PhDs and people with masters in early childhood education. And I asked the two PhDs that hired me after we signed all the paperwork, why did you hire me when I know there were people that were much more qualified in that waiting room? And they said, because it was my ability to listen and willingness to step into the community's, the client's shoes. They said, we could teach you all the processes for being the coach, but we can't teach you that. So that was how I became, and I was trained under them in their methodology, which then fast forward became the foundation for my wellness 360, for my coaching method, is what they taught me. They were so generous with their knowledge and they just really took me under their wing.
Wow. I love this, and I love the courage it took and the, I'm going to try anyway, or I'm going to move forward. I'm not quite sure what that is, but this is a path, a way in to where I want to go with things, and that you were willing to do that. And I think strategic timing is important when you ask those questions. Why?
Yes, yes.
But isn't that beautiful that they recognized that in you and helped that just bloom and shine and taught you the methodology and those kinds of things, but that you were bringing to to the table something that couldn't be taught, and you're continuing to bring that forward and share that in the world. And so I'm curious, as you reflect back on your journey and the work and so many people that you've walked beside and helped, is there an important lesson that's bubbling up that's on your heart that you learned about purpose on this journey?
Oh, how much time do we have? Um, I, well, we talked about the one earlier, knowing who you are, and so
Mhm.
that you know your why and your purpose. I really believe firmly that you need to stand for something, right? Your core beliefs, your values. Because if you don't, then you'll follow anyone if they say or do the right thing at the right time that maybe your scared inner child needs to hear, or your insecure sense of self is missing, or your lonely soul is craving. I think if you don't stand for something, you will follow anyone. So I would say that's the biggest lesson. I have a lot of lessons that I've learned, but I
Sure,
can a
sure.
couple more maybe. I say lesson number two
Hmm.
is play. Just I think curiosity should be a part of your daily life. Take curiosity as your middle name, and lesson three, I would say just try new things and don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to fail, because there's no such thing as failure. There's always lessons. Don't be afraid to be the first person to do something, because who cares what other people think? If Are they paying your bills? Are they making you smile? Are they supporting you in some way? If no, then what does it matter? Just don't be afraid, and don't be afraid to take care of you. I've
Hmm.
got a whole bunch of others, but I think those are the main ones.
Oh, those are beautiful. I hope everyone's listening and writing those down. There will be a replay if you want to listen again and really take in those beautiful tips. But I really like that core values and really standing in that, so it's not fear or someone saying words you like to hear that are pulling you a direction, but you're really making those choices more from the core value place, core things that are important to you. And that's a real takeaway. I'm hearing that that would be a great thing to spend a little bit of time on and really write those down so you have them top of mind. And if you're in one of the things, I remember my dad taught me this actually, because I would get pulled into things or caught up in things, or I wanted to give an answer. Even if I didn't have an answer, I wanted to give an answer. And he used to say, one of your strengths, Rebecca, is really being thoughtful about things. Play to your strength.
Mhm.
You don't have to give a decision in that moment. Or if you've put a lot of thought into something, write down those key points so you have them in front of you when you're in a conversation that is a little bit more heightened emotion or texture, or you're feeling pressure. Keep some of those core things in front of you. And if you have to give an answer, you're feeling that pressure. That was something for me. I wanted to just answer, do whatever, move forward. And he said, you can tell them, I need to think about it. I'll get back to you at this point. He goes, that's an answer, and that's okay. Play to your strengths. So that's something I found that helped me navigate more according to my core and
Mhm.
who I really was. And especially because I am an empath, I can feel things. So sometimes my emotions get mixed up with others, and it's hard to sort through where I start and stop. And by having that in front of me or being able to pause, step back a little bit, I can sort through what's me and not me and make a decision from that place. So I think that is such a valuable those are valuable tips and advice, and that the joy, we can have fun and joy on the journey. I think that's a myth out there too, that you can't, it has to be hard and painful. And
Right.
that's just it. I mean, those things are hard at times, and there can be things that we struggle with, but there can be great joy in the journey, and we do forget that sometimes.
Right. And I,
It,
I love what you said. Sorry to
no,
interrupt,
I was
Rebecca,
going to
but
ask you to add in, so it's perfect.
okay, there you go. See? No, but I love what you were saying, because I think like in your example of taking time to think about something, being mindful, which I know that you also talk about and focus on a lot, which is such a great reminder. I think this is why you're so good at what you do, is you remind us to slow down. You remind us to breathe, which I think allows our intuition to play that part, instead of sort of stomping over our intuition. When you're mindful like this, when you take time to breathe, when you take time to think about something, that intuition, I think, is allowed to bloom and blossom and help guide your decision, which then becomes the right decision for you. So that's all I wanted to add.
I love it. It's so true, and building in that practice of mindfulness can just make such a difference. As I'm sitting here behind the scenes, I have one of my cats. I have several cats. His name is Pumpkin, and he participated in one of our recent anthologies. He had much to say.
Ah,
He is really interested in our show today, so I'm having to mute a couple times because he's vocal.
I
And he's
love it.
rubbing against the mic, and he's just very,
Uh-huh.
very attuned. So, one of the things I appreciate about him is that he is very clear about the things that matter to him
Right.
and the messages that are coming forward. So, I feel like we're getting that paw of approval, that stamp of approval
There we go. I
from
love it. I
Pumpkin
love
in our
it.
messages today. So, it's making me
But
smile.
but there's something about this, right? There's the
Hmm.
energy.
Hmm.
We're all energy beings. And so I love it when, pets come into our space and they're a part of the conversation, because to me, that speaks volumes about the energy
Mm.
that we're putting out into the world. And I think that's what attracts, people and pets.
I love it. So, another thing to be paying attention to on our journey are those animals in our lives, and how are they interacting with what we're doing and with us as we're doing them? Because I think they're really drawn to that energy
Agree.
that's in alignment. And so that's just beautiful. Well, I have so enjoyed our conversation. And as we come close to the end here, I just wanted to see, is there something on your heart that you really want to share with our listeners today? Something that they can really take with them?
Think it's really what's on my heart really right now. It's just been so amazing, spending this time with you. Is I think it's really important to remember that it's never too late to start helping someone else.
Mm,
I think that there are no rules or boundaries that we can't cross in order to help someone else, someone who needs your help, whether it's a physical action or an emotional support or just being there in someone's life. If, there's a lot of people, in spite of all the modern technology and all the social media tools, there are a lot of people around us who are very, very lonely. And I think simple, kind acts every day, we all have the ability to reach out and help someone in some way. It could be as simple as giving them a flower, or sharing a book, a self-help book with them, or telling them to tune into, hey, I love this podcast. It's really helping me. Or, Wellness 360 has been really wonderful for me. Just anything. There are so many. I think there's a legion of people who actually care about others. It's just a matter of finding them.
beautiful. Thank you. Well, listeners, we are going to our next commercial break. And as we do, I want you to feel that message that Carmen has shared with us. Really drink in everything that is serving you, is being shared. And then when we come back, we're going to make sure you know how to go deeper with our amazing Carmen. So make sure to stay present, enjoy these 2 minutes, and we'll continue our conversation in just a moment. Welcome back, everyone. I hope you enjoyed those 2 minutes. I was sitting here just smiling as I was connecting with Carmen a little bit behind the scenes. It's just nice to be in community with each other and with all of you around really looking at our purpose, our values, being aligned with who we're called to be, and that important reminder that we can make such a difference with those small steps, those small ways of reaching out or sharing with another can make a really big difference. It really matters how we show up and how we connect. And so, my thought in that, my response as I was reflecting on what Carmen was sharing, is that just really listen to that prompt on your heart. Don't let your mind logic it or talk you out of it, but you feel that pull to smile at somebody or compliment them on something or share a flower or whatever that little share, that positive touch is that kind of comes to your heart. Sometimes act on it, lean in, do that. Sometimes we stop and we just talk ourselves out of it. And I want to encourage you to take that action, reach out, touch people in that positive way and share the gift of you. That makes such an amazing difference because no one else is just like you. You're an absolute gift to the world, exactly the way you are now. Not just, someday we're all evolving, we're all growing, but right now, how you show up, how you are willing to share the gift of who you are matters. And our beautiful Carmen today is going to share her contact information. This is a way that she's sharing the gift of her with all of us, a way that we can go deeper, connect, go more. We all need people in our lives that are encouraging us and cheering us on and perhaps giving us things to think about, to grow in. And so have those paper and pens ready. Carmen, I'd love for you to share the best way for people to connect in with you and to go deeper.
Thank you so much, Rebecca. The easiest way really is to just go to Wellness 360 with Carmen Milagro on Expandi TV. We're in season 4 now, so you can, play all the seasons 1 to 3 episodes. And if you want to connect with me directly, you can email me at wellness360carmen@gmail.com. Or you can reach out to us on the socials. That's Wellness 360 on LinkedIn, Instagram, and Facebook.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. And congratulations on so many seasons that you are bringing to the world. That just makes me so happy to hear.
Oh,
And
thank you.
absolutely. And for us to lean into all of that support and advice and perspective and wisdom that we can bring into our lives. So I encourage you to lean in and receive all of that. And as you reflect on our conversation, is there any sort of a reminder or final thought you want to give our listeners as they get ready to go back out into their day?
Absolutely. Thank you for the opportunity again. Thank you, everyone. But I just wanted to share with you one thing. I love what you say, Rebecca. I love this concept, and it's more than just a concept, it's actually a way of life. For me, it's live with passion on purpose. I think that's why we are so aligned
Mm-hmm.
together.
Mm-hmm.
Because from my perspective, for me, the greatest form of coaching is based on empathy because it requires us to suspend ego and live in another person's reality. And that's how we can be of the best service to another person. So I'll just leave you with that. And I appreciate you so much for this invitation to be a part of the spring season with you here on the show.
Beautiful. I love that we get to spring forward together on purpose and with
Yes,
passion. I love it, love it, love it.
that's perfect.
Oh, I love it. Well, thank you for joining us and sharing some of your journey with us and really great things for us to think about and reflect on and see how we can start to bring those into our life. I have a page full of notes and I love this arena, but I find every show, every episode, when we get to talk to amazing experts, I continue to learn or be reminded of things and grow and stretch. And I hope that each of you are as well. And as you get ready to go back into your day, I encourage you to take a couple moments, just like we've been practicing through the show, and be present. The day doesn't get to be in charge, you do. So take a couple moments for you and really drink in, just mindfully, purposely breathe in everything that has served you today, allowing it a little bit of room and space to take hold and integrate into you. And breathe out all that no longer serves that you're releasing and choose how you're going to step forward. Choose the way you want to be starting now, not someday. Who you are, who you really are, who you want to be, what you want to bring forward. Give yourself a moment to really connect in with that as you're connecting back into your day. And remember, the biggest gift you can give the world is more of who you truly are. So be willing to bloom where you're planted and to shine, to really share out the amazing gift of who you are. Have a wonderful week, everyone. I will